Hey guys, welcome back to Reserved Investments. Spoiler alert, it is very early in the morning that I am shooting this video. I do want to start off with an excellent quote by Scottish author Charles Mackay. This particular quote was said back in 1841 and was a popular statement in his book entitled Extraordinarily Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. And the quote is, "Men, it has been well said, think in herds. It will be seen that they go mad in herds, while they only recover their senses slowly, one by one." And in the year 2022, this quote can fit perfectly as to what is happening with mass speculation in a lot of modern era pop culture based collectibles. And if you didn't read the video description, today we are going to be taking an even deeper dive into talking about Pokemon and why I consider Pokemon cards, mass-produced Pokemon products, to be inherently risky and majorly speculative. And I don't know how many times I have to beat this proverbial drum to death, but some of you just are not getting it. I have a slew of comments that if I really want it to be an a-hole, I could sit here and go by and read each one of these comments and give my response to it. I'm not at that point yet. I'm getting close. But what we are going to focus on today is speculation in the antiques and collectibles trade, starring Pokemon cards. And there's an excellent article. I want to give Polygon credit here. Polygon put out an article on July 4th, 2022. Happy Independence Day for those of you that live in the United States. Yay, I know. And it's entitled, "The Great Pokemon Card Shortage Has a Solution. 9 billion, with a B, new cards." And there's still Timmies, Kimmies, and Poindexters out there that are not understanding what's happening. And they're coming to me, they're attacking me, telling me that I don't understand these markets. I don't understand these markets. I appear to be lost, even though now Polygon is even putting out articles that are talking about 9 billion new Pokemon cards that are being rushed into the market because during the pandemic, little poor Timmy S. Poindexter Jr., he would go to the store and the stores were bare of any Pokemon cards because the evil investors and speculators were buying them all, throwing them to grading companies, flipping them on the secondary market. Why? The little Timmies, Kimmies, and Poindexters who were over 18 stayed home, got checks from the government. They were going online and they were spending it all on Pokemon cards, meme stocks, cryptocurrency, all this stupid shit that has no real value. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to actually, at the end of this video, I'm going to recommend a couple of books for you guys to read. But first, before we get there, we're going to go through this wonderful article from Polygon. And there's going to be a link to this article in the description below if you choose to take the time to read it. You're going to see why literally the whole collectible card game genre at present time is built on a proverbial house of cardboard cards. And this is something that you guys need to understand. You know, in my last video on Pokemon, I recommended the book Mint Condition about baseball cards. People were reaching out, "Sean, you cannot compare baseball cards to Pokemon." Okay, there's no disputing the information that is in the article that is linked below that I am going to go through with you today. And I'm going to give you my honest analysis as to why you guys are taking a tremendous risk by speculating in these markets. Even if you would put that money in an S&P 500 index fund, a total stock market index fund, hell, even though I don't like this idea for a lot of the newbies out there, even if you would pick 5 dividend stocks right now, with the way the overall market is, where the financial markets are down, they got battered by 20-25%. Even if you would put that money there and just leave it there for 10 to 20 years without touching it, you would most likely do better than speculating on most of this modern era bullshit that is being produced by companies like the Pokemon Company, Wizards of the Coast, Flesh and Blood, Nintendo, Funko Pop, even in certain cases, Lego, believe it or not, guys, which I have more videos coming on Lego too. Believe me, I did not forget all about the Lego collectors and investors out there that do watch this channel. But in this video, to keep this short and simple, we're going to go through this article. So again, the article's titled, "The Great Pokemon Card Shortage Has a Solution. 9 billion, with a B, new cards." it's been near impossible to get Pokemon cards over the past few years. Right around the Pokemon franchise's 25th anniversary, Pokemon cards saw a major resurgence in popularity, whether fueled by pandemic boredom or dreams of getting rich off your Charizard cards. Pokemon cards, both new and old, were selling out as soon as they hit store shelves. People hoarded McDonald's Happy Meals for special cards. You guys remember that during the pandemic? Think back. People were actually buying McDonald's Happy Meals just to get Pokemon cards. This reminds me, just like Beanie Baby Mania back in the 1990s, McDonald's did a promotion where they would give out Beanie Babies, smaller Beanie Babies than the normal size, with Happy Meals, and people were freaking hoarding these things thinking they were going to go to the moon. Pokemon cards, both new and old, were selling out as soon as they hit store shelves. Retail stores like Target took cards off their shelves, opting to sell goods online only, reportedly because frenzied shoppers created safety concerns in stores. People flooded card grading services with so many cards from collectors hoping to strike it rich that they had to pause new submissions to work through the backlog. Last year, the Pokemon Company acknowledged the Pokemon card shortage and announced it was ramping up production to address the high demand. Let me state that again for a lot of the Timmies out there that don't want to listen to this part of the video. It was announced that the Pokemon Company acknowledged the Pokemon card shortage and announced it was ramping up production to address the high demand. That means supply is increasing, guys. Let me help you out. For some of you that are in your 20s, do not understand economics and want to argue with me that all of these cards, all of these modern era mass-produced products are going to be your ticket to financial freedom. Supply has increased dramatically. We're aware that some fans are experiencing difficulties purchasing certain Pokemon trading card game products due to very high demand, the company said in a tweet. In response, we are reprinting impacted products at maximum capacity to ensure more fans can enjoy the Pokemon TCG. The Pokemon Company wasn't kidding. Here's where we get to the numbers, guys. According to data released by the Pokemon Company, it produced more than 9 billion cards in the past year alone. Let me help out all the Timmies, Kimmies, and Poindexters that are still wondering what this means. In the United States alone, depending on what population reports do you use, depending on which site you go on to look, there are roughly 315 to 320 million people alive living in the U.S. That includes people that are just born, people under the age of 18, people older than 18, people that are elderlies in their 70s, 80s, 90s, even beyond their 90s if they're still alive. That's the population of the United States in the year 2022. The Pokemon Company alone printed more than 9 billion cards in the last year. You guys have got to be stupid to speculate heavily on this stuff over the long term. That's more than double the rate of the year prior when the Pokemon Company made 3.7 billion cards. It normally makes between 1 and 2 billion cards a year. Pokemon expert and webmaster Joe Merrick told Polygon. To date, more than 43.2 billion cards have been produced since the Pokemon trading card game launched. There are only 6 to 7 billion people in the entire world. Now, I did see one report, just so that nobody cuts me up in the comment section below on my math. There is a report out there that says, no, Sean, there's roughly 7.4 billion people in the entire world. Now, I think that number's a little bit high. I couldn't find anything higher. Most estimates that I see are 6 to 7 billion people in the world. There are 43.2 billion Pokemon cards since the sets premiered on store shelves back in the 1990s. Now, to be fair, this influx of several billion cards per year being produced is a new phenomenon to keep up with demand. You guys understand at some point there is going to be more supply than demand that is buying up all these cards. A lot of you guys are kidding yourself by creating a financial foundation rooted in cardboard. This is a fool's game. This is the greater fool theory at play. And I want to be very honest, as someone that knows how to take advantage of these markets, before you cut me up and say, oh, Sean, I'm going to take these profits from you, you don't got to worry about it. You go back to your stock portfolio. You guys are aware, I'm a major speculator in this market, and I still do these videos and tell you the honest truth, regardless of how much money I make or don't make off of this market. You guys are kidding yourself. Excuse me. We're going to go on. More than a quarter of all Pokemon cards printed were produced from 2020 to 2022. Let me read that statement again for all the Timmies, Kimmies, and Poindexters out there. More than a quarter of all Pokemon cards in existence and printed were produced from the years 2020 to 2022. Do you guys understand what that means? This is junk wax era 2. I can literally go back, edit the previous video I did on this, where I recommend the book mint condition, and literally remove the question mark now because we got our answer. We now know what the print runs are just in the past 3 years. More than a quarter of all Pokemon cards on the market today were printed in the past 3 years. You guys that are speculating on this stuff are kidding yourself. You have a Pikachu up your anus, I'm telling you. There was never really a lapse in the production of Pokemon cards. The Pokemon Company simply couldn't keep up with such huge demand. Wow, makes it so much better. It's definitely a big deal and shows a reaction to the situation that happened back towards the end of 2020. In terms of the general consumer getting cards, Pokemon trading cards hit the mainstream again, and people were buying up all the stock, not necessarily for the right reasons. Speculative bubble, and it was near impossible for people to get any of the new products. It was a nightmare for the general consumer. Charlie Herlocker, a Pokemon expert and senior consultant for grading company CGC, yes, that CGC that also grades comic books, told Polygon that the Pokemon Company is likely overproducing Pokemon cards now, flooding the market with its collectibles to bring prices down and keep every shelf stocked. Wow, what a surprise! A company that's traded on the open market actually producing products that they can sell to make money for their shareholders. This is an amazing concept. No, it's not. It's finance one-on-one. The strategy appears to be working. Most stores have products on the shelves, and prices on the first and secondary markets are down. Herlocker said booster boxes during the peak Pokemon craze over the past few years were selling at online retailers for more than 20% of the manufacturer's suggested retail price, which seemed like a major hike because booster sets, he said, used to sell for much cheaper. Now with an influx of cards and sets on the market, prices are back down to normal. Herlocker said, with retailers really just breaking even on card sales. The second indicator of the Pokemon Company's overproduction is the bulk card market. There's an entire secondary market that's based around what any Pokemon card is worth. Pokemon cards peaked in 2021 at 6 cents a card. Any card was worth 6 cents just because there was so much demand. Now that price has cratered. It's like 1 cent, and the two biggest bulk buyers aren't even purchasing. The overprinting is working. 6 cents per card might not sound like a huge number, and it's not, especially when you're comparing it to the hundreds of thousands of dollars that made Pokemon cards big news. But those cards that are worth a ton, though the prices have dropped, are still rare and worth a ton. But most Pokemon cards aren't those rare cards. They're common or energy cards, and there are a lot of them. Herlocker said that for demand to be up so high that bulk cards were going for 6 cents a piece is a big deal. The Pokemon card bubble hasn't burst, but the franchise is reverting to normal levels of hype now. There's that term, reversion. Reversion to the mean is a topic we discuss often on this channel, and it's a Wall Street financial term. It's also something that a lot of the Timmies, Kimmies, and Poindexters that are operating in these markets have no understanding of. You know, it's just like right now. I started subscribing to a lot of these CGC comic Facebook groups, and I'm seeing people like posting 20 copies of Amazing Spider-Man 300 in CGC 9.8 condition, or Spider-Man 1 from 1990, CGC graded 9.8 condition, silver editions, gold editions, platinum editions, and people are like, I'm pumping these through eBay one at a time, and people are buying them. That's signs, guys, that we are in a massive speculative bull market here. Now's the time you make money in these markets. You don't buy and hold when this is the dynamic that is unfolding in front of us. That is a game. For somebody who's going to come in, try to hold this stuff long term and make money, you are going to lose out. We are talking mass speculative euphoria. You should be selling into this market, not buying and holding. That is a bull's game. Going on, new packs like the upcoming Pokemon Go expansion with the peel-off trolley Ditto card will likely enter the cycle in high demand, but it's not long before packs are back. Maybe there aren't always Pokemon cards on Target's shelves, but it's no longer impossible to get them. And that is how this article ends. Now, I want you to take the time, and I want you to click on the link, and I want you to read this article if you are investing in this market. Let all this information sink in. Do you guys understand how you are being played by these manufacturers who have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders and do not cater to higher-end collectors, speculators, mass-produced hoarders, whatever you call yourself, flippers? These companies are not beholden to you. A lot of the information that you are getting from TikTok, from YouTube, from the internet is 100% wrong. Now, with that being said, Sean, give us some book recommendations and what you recommend that we read. Well, I already gave you one in my first video I did on this topic just a couple of weeks back, was Mint Condition by Dave Jamieson. That was on the subject of baseball cards and talks perfectly how we ended up in the junk wax era during the speculative bubble for baseball cards in the 80s and early 90s. Now, these two books that I'm going to recommend right now, these are finance books, and a lot of you aren't going to like that, but we're still going to have this quick discussion now that we're 17, almost 18 minutes into this video. The first book that I want to recommend to you guys is Devil Take the Hindmost. Now, this book was written by Edward Chancellor, and this book, believe it or not, came out, I think, 1999, 2000. Everybody always asks me when I recommend this book, Sean, what the hell does Devil Take the Hindmost mean? Well, Devil Takes the Hindmost is actually a proverb, and what it means is everyone does look after their own interests without regard to the fate of others, which is what you guys need to understand before you take anybody's advice on TikTok or YouTube or the latest Facebook collecting forum or the latest online collecting forum. You need to understand there's market manipulators at every turn. There's people getting involved in these markets that pretty much do not put your self-interest first. That's why when people contradict me and start talking about Wall Street, I have to remind them Wall Street is heavily regulated. The collectibles market is not. The cryptocurrency market is not. We see what mess a lot of you guys got in by not taking my advice when I first appeared on YouTube back in 2019, telling you, be very careful if you get into the market for cryptocurrency and NFTs. And there were people tearing me up. I swear I must have lost like 5,000 additional subscribers that I could have had on this channel just because of my views on cryptocurrency and NFTs. Now, this particular book, Devil Take the Hindmost, is about speculative bubbles appearing in the financial markets. And again, this book was published in 1999. So you got to understand, it's not going to cover cryptocurrency. It's not going to really even tout on the dot-com crash because at that time, tech stocks were still going high. But this will take you inside a financial understanding of speculative bubbles. You can use that information and you can apply it to the collectibles trade, guys. The next book I'm going to recommend for all of you that keep reaching out to me, telling me that stocks are too inherently risky, that investing in financial assets, Sean, it's just not your thing. You need to read the book, A Random Walk Down Wall Street. And believe it or not, right now, you can get this book, I think, on Amazon for less than $13. And this is the newest edition. It actually does talk a little bit about collectibles. It does talk a little bit about cryptocurrency, only in passing. It's not the main theme of this book. Spoiler alert, if you read this whole book, and this book is roughly, I want to say, close to 500 pages. You want to know what you're going to come away with? Wow, I ought to just buy an index fund and hold it for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And that's the whole point of this book. That's why it's called A Random Walk Down Wall Street. It's pretty much how financial markets work over the long term. This is what you should be doing with your money. You should be getting an education, getting financially established. Then, if you want to speculate in all these 9 billion Pokemon cards that are being made and put into production, and they're trying to convince you that, oh, you don't understand. That's a super rare holofoil limited gold Charizard card, and it's going to be worth a fortune in the future. Then if you want to speculate in that type of market, you go ahead and you divert funds into that market. But by no means should your entire financial portfolio be invested in collectibles, cryptocurrency, NFTs, any of this crazy stuff. You guys need to get back to basics. This is the point that I have been putting out since I started this channel. It's the same point that a lot of experts in the antiques and collectibles trade will tell you. Harry Rinker, a lot of these other guys. Even if I'm trying to find an interview, there was an interview with Mike Wolf of Antiques Archaeology, who is one of the American Pickers that you watch every week if you watch that show on the History Channel. And he did an excellent interview where he talked a little bit about speculation in the antiques and collectibles trade. And he said something along the lines where, people think that he's a buy and hold collector in a lot of these markets. And he said something along the lines that I 100% agree with, where unless if something is extremely rare, where he knows he's not going to get that item again, he will sell anything if he's making a profit. He's already ripped literal pieces off the wall in his house and sold them because he got a lot more than what he originally paid for them. You guys are looking at the antiques and collectibles trade all wrong, especially a lot of you that are engaged in speculation, especially a lot of you that are trying to invest in this for the long term. The antiques and collectibles trade was never ever set up to ensure that you retire and live a good life at the ripe old age of 65, 75, 80, whenever you're thinking of retiring, whenever you can afford to retire, even if you want to retire. The antiques and collectibles trade is a good way to diversify into asset-wise, assuming you understand the risks and you are already financially established. And even when you get to that point, you must be careful not to get too much emotionally attached to the items that you collect, to the items that you invest in. Otherwise, it's going to end in disaster for you. A lot of you guys are listening to the wrong information, the wrong people. You're not looking at the origin story of a lot of these individuals that you're following the advice of. You're following the advice of market manipulators, people that have a large Instagram following, people that go on TikTok and give you 15 to 60-second tidbits of investment advice. And usually in most cases, it is horrible advice when you try to apply it to your own being, because you are not in that same predicament that person who is giving you that advice is. That's all I'm going to say on this topic. I've rambled for 24 minutes now. I hope you got something out of this. Please take the time to read this article. And if you so choose, get a copy of A Random Walk Down Wall Street if you want to learn finance. And if you want to understand speculative bubbles, just from a financial market perspective, not talking about collectibles, go after the book, Devil Take the Hindmost. Both of these books are well worth reading. I, even to this day, brush these books off and read them every few years again and again, guys. Now, with that being said, I gotta go. I gotta go to bed. I gotta finally sleep for once. You guys have a great night, and I'm curious to know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.